Hello and welcome back to Talk of the Apprentice. I nearly said Townsends.
Well, this is Talk of the Townsends, and this is a mini-series about the latest series of The Apprentice UK. I'm Benedict Townsend.
And I'm Hannah Townsend. That was a lovely segue.
It was a great segues, as I love to say.
Talking of segways and forklifts.
Oh, very good.
Not very. Does
Are
that
they?
work?
No, not at all. They're completely different things.
What's a segway?
Segway is that like hoverboard thing.
Yeah, same thing.
What? Same thing as a forklift?
It's like a hovering machine, right?
Neither of those hover.
You just said it was a hover machine.
Yeah, but a forklift is not a hover machine.
Yeah, you could. The tomatoes in this episode hovered, from the forklift.
So you're saying if you stood on the fork of the forklift and then got someone to drive you around,
You'd be hovering.
You'd be hovering.
What is a segway?
It's one of those. Imagine like a hoverboard with two wheels, but it has like a pole coming up
Yes.
it with a
Do
handle.
you know where they do that? Go Ape. At some Go Apes, they have those things where you can ride through the forest on segways.
Do you know how the inventor of the Segway died?
He came off a Segway.
He segwayed off a cliff. Genuinely, I'm pretty sure that's true. That either the inventor or someone very important to the invention of the Segway was segwaying around his grounds. I shouldn't laugh. And segwayed off like a cliff.
Why do we say it's a Segway?
That's just the name for like a transition.
Okay. All right. Well, and on that segue...
Are we going to use any of that?
I think so.
Okay.
We got nothing else.
So we're on episode 4.
Tomatoes or potatoes? Choose your fighter. What would you have gone with?
You see, initially I was thinking tomatoes. You can't go wrong with them. But then actually, when the task was revealed of like, you have to make something and sell it, I thought, as I think most of us did, potatoes, easy. You do a jacket potato, you do a potato skin, quick and easy food, cheap food. How could you possibly lose with potatoes?
I thought poutine would be great. Just basically loaded fries, right?
Vladimir Putin.
You know, yeah, fries with cheese on them, fries with cheese and a bit of meat on them. Easy.
You make a good point. You don't even need to do the poutine. You just do fries.
Actually, no, because then you've got to de-skin and cut them up. Jacket potato.
Jacket potato. I mean, I know that they filmed this, I guess, like a year ago. So maybe the social media jacket potato craze hadn't hit yet. But talk about profit margins. Jacket potato.
A Jackie P. My first note just says, deceptive forklift.
What was deceptive about it?
Maybe I meant to write something else. But decorative. That's what I meant to write.
Decorative forklifts. So
they got up at a ridiculous hour of the morning and then they were taken to the Battersea Food and Something Hall.
Covent Garden Market. Okay, yeah. It's called Covent Garden Market, but it's by Battersea Power Station.
It's in Battersea. I mean, same but different. And there were 2 forklifts and we thought, oh, they've put some decorative forklifts. But then the potatoes and tomatoes hovered down. Can I say, just top line, I really liked this task because it felt actually kind of businessy. And I liked the simplicity of I've given you potatoes, you tomatoes, and you just have to make money out of them. Obviously, it is a bit silly that they're doing like cooking and catering and stuff. Sure.
But there's a bit of business in this. It's not, you're going to make a virtual pop star and all the, nonsense from the previous weeks.
Here's my issue with this week's Apprentice task, right? Were the team that had to prepare the food for the clients, I mean, we need to talk about the Zzz's clients because that was kind of crazy.
Yes.
But were they set up to fail? Because I honestly believe that like preparing to that spec was never going to happen. And could you have pushed back if you're on the team, if they say, we need this to make bruschetta, and you say, well, actually, we're going to deliver tomatoes with pips in them. Okay, well, then we can't make our thing. Like, I don't know if pushing back would have helped.
Yeah, because Nadia said that when she was trying to kind of keep the sinking ship alive. She was like, oh, what? They wanted potatoes a certain size and you just accepted that or whatever. And it's like, well, you have to. Because also you've pointed out a huge flaw in this, which is like, they can't walk away.
No.
There was a bit at the end where they were renegotiating the price for the potatoes, I think it was. And they were like, well, we want this price. And it's like, they know that the apprentice people can't walk away.
Yeah.
They've got no one else to sell to.
Yeah, when they've already chopped them up. So it's like, what else are we going to do?
Which is actually, I will say, kind of mean of the businesses because they know they've got them over a barrel to just keep driving the price down. Because it's like, come on, man, this isn't real life. Like, they have nowhere to go.
Come on.
Like, in real life, you would have a lot more leverage as the apprentices because you'd go, okay, we're going to go to your rival business. But you can't do that on this show. So you just have to accept whatever.
Nadia, let's go sell some potatoes.
The famous phrase we all love.
Still managed to F it up in royal style.
Yeah, Jersey Royal style.
Oh, very good.
Thank you.
What was up with the Zzz's clients? Because I just felt like they didn't want to be there. They'd agreed to be on a TV show. The guy was trying to schmooze them and said, I grew up in Milan. When I came over here, it was a taste of home. I mean, a bit cringe and clearly not true, but I
don't know that they really didn't want to be wined and dined, did they?
They didn't. There was two guys. One of them was just a very sort of harried-looking Zizi's man. I think he's Mr. Zizi.
Yeah.
And then he had this guy with him who I think was a chef who...
He just looked really annoyed.
Have you ever looked at someone and tried to explode their head with your mind?
Yeah.
Because that's what he was doing the whole time. He was just like, can I murder these people with looks?
Why were they so angry though? At that stage, nothing had gone wrong. They were like, we're going to need them like this. We're going to do it. Like, it was like, okay, like...
Why is there so much rage at Zizi's?
I think, yeah, I know. I just thought it was a very strange... It wasn't very fun, was it?
I love that they just kept cutting to the kind of psycho chef guy next to him who just looks so mad to be there. Can I tell you a beautiful story right now? It's about a young boy. He grew up in Italia and he had to leave his homeland and he missed home. But then he had an authentic taste when he discovered Zizi's.
Do you want to do your joke?
Oh, yeah. Now, in terms of the other team, if you had to sum it up, and I will title the episode this, it was all about sausage and maths.
Yeah, the maths was a bit all over the shop. Do you know what, Nadia?
Just moving on from sausage and maths.
Oh, no, very good.
Not even a standing or...
Yeah, very, very good.
Thank you.
I'll laugh in my own time. I do respect Nadia, and I don't know if it's because I did kind of like her, even though I see her for all her flaws, but I did like her in The Apprentice. I do respect that she wanted like high quality food. She wanted it to taste good. Now, she wanted it to taste good for her specifically. And what she wanted, a lot of tasks on The Apprentice are all like, how can we cut costs and make this the crappiest thing it could be, but sell it for 15 quid. And I do respect that she wanted to make the food taste good.
Okay.
You don't seem to be on the ship with me.
I applaud you for trying to find a silver lining with Nadia because, to be fair, like we've done our classic thing last week. We were like, Nadia's great. Nadia's a business genius, and then she just steamrolled this task.
No, I don't think we ever said that.
Well, we
roll the tapes on us saying that.
All right, let me just play the tape. Hi, I'm Hannah, and I think Nadia's a genius. There you go. Well, no, I'm just in previous weeks we've been like, we're Team Nadia, and then Nadia just absolutely.
I mean, I would say it was from the second that team got together, and she said, we're going to be doing bangers and mash. We're going to be putting horseradish in it. We're going to be doing this. We're going to go for the most expensive sausages. It was like, oh, they're losing.
Yeah, just every single. And also I can't remember who it was, but someone was like, I should be sub-team leader. I know loads about food. And she was like, it's going to be Kirshave.
It's going to be Kirshave. And Kirshave's faces are so funny throughout this episode. Yes. I absolutely, he's becoming one of my absolute favourites on the show.
Well, he was an early fave in episode 1 when he seemed a bit clueless. This episode, actually, he seemed to have it together. He's kind of, for me, he was the MVP of the episode.
I agree.
Because he had some very funny reactions. And also, he really kept his cool when at the end, she was coming for him hard. And I think the problem is that thing of like, when you are so in the right, you don't need to raise your voice. He was just like, no, Nadia, it's all insane what you're saying.
No, Nadia, you haven't got it. You've sold 8.
Yes. I love that. She's like, don't worry, we've got it. It's like, you haven't got it.
You've sold 8. Also, his face when they were reading out those results. Okay, let's get back to it.
Speaking of the Zizi's people being mean, I will say the other people from the pub chain, which they didn't name, and I think that's interesting.
Yes.
And I wonder if said chain was like, take our name off this.
Okay.
They were also pretty brutal with them. That woman was driving a bloody hard bargain for those potatoes, wasn't she?
She was. But I mean, how much can you charge for a potato? Do you know what I mean? It was also unfair, I guess, in that of like, how much can you charge for a chopped potato?
Yeah, I wish sometimes they had like on-screen graphics that like, this is what a potato normally costs. I have no sense of potato economics when I watch these shows. Tell you who else had no sense of potato economics? Nadia. The fact that they managed to bad maths their way into accidentally spending...
Was it like 70, 80 quid over?
I think it was 86 quid. So,
and Baroness Brady, things are bad if Baroness Brady has to step in and say, like when the cabbage was burning, if Baroness Brady has to step in and say, guys.
You know what it's like? It's like, you know, on your driving test where it's
if they have to put their foot down on the brake, you know you failed immediately.
If your driving test guy has to touch the brake, you've automatically failed. It's like that with that. If Baroness Brady has to tell you twice, because she had to step in and be like, you know, you've overspent 86 quid, and she was like, by the way, you're burning this cabbage. You know what I love is when they were like, something's burning, and Nadia was like, it's over here on the other side of the room.
It's someone else. Look over there.
Look over there. And Baroness Brady was like, well, I don't want to die in this kitchen. Also, like, you're Baroness Brady. You're like so rich. You have the most luxe life.
And it looked like she had to get up very early for this filming as well.
That's what I was going to say. You have to get up at the arse end of the morning to go and stand in a kitchen and watch people cook cabbage. That's when you're like, is this show worth it?
And watch people burn cabbage.
Yes.
So the cooking and the food preparation for both teams was incredibly stressful. Maybe Nadia's, what added to Nadia's downfall is that she was getting quite snappy and a little bit rude, which was pointed out by Baroness Brady. She said she's not being particularly nice.
No.
And I wonder if there was more to that than we even saw, because it kind of sounded like the vibes were low in that kitchen. Whereas on the other side, we had Jordan, where the vibes were also particularly low. And we had the disaster of the de-seeding of tomatoes. Jordan chopping the tomatoes one by one, a piece of wet, sodden, horrible paper.
Where he's measured out 1 centimetre.
I've never seen anything like that.
I get it, because they want to do that to spec, right? But at the same time, you're handing them literally a giant bucket of chopped tomatoes. Are they going to go through? It's not their potatoes where they can just look and see.
Yeah, you're right.
They could probably have phoned it in, I'm not going to lie, a little bit to get a bit, because what did they promise them? 150 grams, and they delivered 20 grams.
So they were 130 kilograms short of the order, which is actually so funny.
Didn't he say something like, when they turned up with the buckets, he was like, is this just a sample?
Yeah.
This is just a taster, right?
What do we think of 2 things? Number 1, making Max England wear a potato costume for literally no reason.
Yeah. Max England also, was doing the due diligence this week where he just constantly kept going like, these numbers make no sense.
No, yeah, he knew it.
Again, there were so many moments from very early on where we were like, Nadia's team is losing.
Yeah.
One of them was where Max England was like, yeah, it costs £6 a plate to make this.
Yes.
It's like, well, they're going to lose then. Because the other team, what was it, 88p a plate?
What do we think of Malika clicking at people? Would you buy a pizza for a tenner if someone was clicking at you?
She literally went, oi, you, man with the glasses, come over here.
No.
I'm like, no, I'd pay you to stay away.
No.
Malika has really fun, deranged energy. She's going to step into Nadia's shoes now.
I fear, yes.
As the unpredictable character, I think.
Yeah, because there was a lot of tension with her and Mia last week, wasn't there?
Yeah.
It was an interesting episode. I think they kind of like fast forwarded through all those sales because it was very obvious who was going to lose. Like, it was just very clear.
Yeah, you
can't be making a pizza for 88p and making some sausage and mash for £6 and think that you were going to win. I mean, it was just super, super clear.
Yeah, and actually credit to the show that they didn't even try and like edit it in a competitive way. It was like very obvious. Like, they was making pizza for 88p and selling it for 10 quid.
10 quid.
Maybe even more at one point. I'm like, that's crazy, but that's pizza for you. Usually on this show, you get people who get a real bee in their bonnet, and it can be really annoying where they're like, what about this? What about this? Kearshave went on and on and on. He was like, these potatoes are too small. They told us they wanted this size of potato. To his credit, they walk in immediately. They're like, these potatoes are too small.
Yeah.
And you saw in his face, there wasn't even like a smug satisfaction of like, I was right. It was just this pain of just like, for God's sake, I was right.
Yeah, and also, but Baroness Brady praised him. She said, I think he did a very good job there because he managed to get quite a good price.
Yeah.
You know, that woman went in with £2.90 or something, 95, and he was like, can we do 3? And so it didn't make him look too bad.
That's a real like make-a-wish when you see Tim or Karen compliment
Praise,
someone.
yeah.
They really don't do that. And also later in the boardroom, when Nadia started trying to attack him for the price dropping from £4 to £3, in the back of my head, I'm like, Nadia, you don't realise that Karen actually praised him for that.
Yeah,
You're looking silly right now.
I mean, Nadia didn't see a lot of things come in this episode.
No, to be fair.
When Mia said, I packed my bags earlier, I was like, I bet you Nadia didn't pack those goddamn bags. So it was a bit of an Apprentice first this week in the boardroom. It's something I've not seen for a very, very long time, if ever. There was no discussion as to who was going to go.
Yeah.
No one fought their corner. It was straight, Nadia, you're fired.
Yeah, I mean, like, he didn't even discuss it with Tim and Karen. I mean, when they discussed it, they went, so we're all firing Nadia, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Call her in.
It was interesting. They let us know before she even came back.
Yeah.
It's clear who the failure lies with in this task. So I was like, are we getting a double firing? Do you think Nadia saw it coming?
I actually don't think she
I
did,
don't think
which
she
is
did
really
either.
fun. You know, a small part of me thought he was going to go, you know, when he calls him back in, I thought he was going to go, just send Nadia back in.
Really?
But I guess you want the other two in there to report back and for the goss, you know.
For the goss.
But yeah, that is pretty wild that it was just like, I mean, it wasn't going to be Kia, because also wasn't there the thing, like he pointed out that his sub team actually turned a profit or something. It was simply her bad maths that cost them.
Yes. I mean, it was her bad maths.
Everything she
It was
did.
her choice of bangers and mash. It was her leading of the team. It was a hot mess.
I know we've gone on about how bangers and mash is a weird choice, but it's so weird to me to go, you need to do a potato dish, and then to come up with a dish where the potato is not the main thing. The potato is very much the side character in bangers and mash.
You're right. The bangers are leading that. A jacket potato, the potato is the star of the show. Poutine, loaded fries, potato is the star of the show. To add something on which is quite expensive is a strange choice.
Yeah, like if you said to me, like, you need to do a bread dish, and I was like, okay, we're going to do a Caesar salad with croutons.
Yeah, I'd be
It's
like,
well, it's already a bread dish.
Yeah, it's a bit of an Uno reverse, isn't it?
Not to call anyone a baby. Have you ever been troubled by a tomato seed? Is this something we need
Johnny,
removed?
I know.
Very difficult to do, though.
Very difficult to do.
Quite a funny boardroom this week.
Like that guy said about the tomatoes, look, they were really happy with the quality, not the quantity.
That is, I think,
It's the same with Nadia. We were really happy with what she brought.
yes,
It was we didn't see her for long enough.
exactly. I think that is up there with our favourite, which is 50% of the boys liked it.
Yeah.
How many boys? 2. Them go when they've delivered 20 grams when they're supposed to deliver 150, and they go, they loved the quality. They had problems with the quantity. That is such a funny way of spinning it. That is so funny.
What percentage of that is it?
Well, there's Easy Guy said, he's like, you've missed what, 80, 90% of it?
They were really chuffed with the quality. Johnny chopping up the tomatoes using that horrible wet piece of paper. They were really happy with the quality, not the quantity. Look, it's how you frame things, right?
Yeah, it's all about perspective. I love that. That's so funny. That is such an understatement.
Yeah.
There's some small qualms with the quantity, such as the fact that we didn't deliver 90% of it.
But another very enjoyable episode of The Apprentice.
A very silly episode. I don't know why Mia was so convinced she was going. I guess we have the wisdom of knowing how bad Nadia's team had done, but surely she would have thought we turned a fair profit.
But Karen let us into an insight that, like, Nadia's team actually sold really well.
Yes, because the edit didn't necessarily show that.
No, but so maybe actually pizzas weren't selling that well. They were just super cheap. Because for Nadia to only lose 70 quid when they'd overspent by, she did that maths wrong.
They said that their cost was something like £600.
Yeah, so look, had things gone slightly different, like this is what I'm saying when I have to put some respect on the Nadia name, is that she really cared about it tasting good.
Yeah.
So, and people clearly liked it or liked the sound of it. So I have to say that there was something there. It was just very poorly managed. Obviously, the mass was all over the shop.
Yeah, actually, coming around to it, like we said, bangers and mash was a bad choice, but like it was clearly a very popular choice. A lot of people wanted to eat it, but I guess it's just too expensive.
I don't think bangers and mash is a bad choice because sometimes at these markets, the pizza's not going to fill you up. If I have that £10 pizza, I'm going to be hungry 20 minutes, a couple of hours later. It's very small, whereas like a bangers and mash, that's like a proper meal.
But it is, yeah. The only complaint is the margins are just so
for
poor.
£13 or £10 if you're talking to Nadia.
Yeah. It was a rare instance where every single thing she did was wrong.
Everything. No correct choices were made. When she was making that gravy and she was just throwing the granules in.
Oh, that goopy gravy. Before we go, can I introduce a new thing?
No.
Although I guess we'll do it once.
No.
How many people make it to the final?
3.
Name your 3.
Oh,
Call your shot.
Kia.
Yeah.
Kia Shave. I'm thinking of whose names I know. Kia Shave, maybe Mia.
Mia Shave, yes.
Mia. Who about you?
Maybe is it Anissa, the one who was PM twice and wanted to be PM 3 times? I think she's got kind of a head on her shoulders.
That's not a bad shout.
Oh, also Max England, actually.
Max England was up there. It depends what his business is, right?
There was that great moment where Lord Sugar was like,
oh, the seeding.
he was like, let me just pause proceedings and be like, fuck you, Max England.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We are doing another mini-series, you just can't stop us, called Talk of the White Lotus.
It rolls off the tongue.
Where, you guessed it, we're talking about Severance.
EastEnders. Oh, sorry.
No, we're talking about, obviously, White Lotus. We're doing episode by episode. So that will be out, that comes out Mondays-ish.
Mondays-ish, yeah.
So tune in if you want to see that, and we will be back with you next week for this.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.